This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.
Welcome back, Jonathan Clark in the studio with a guy who, it's hard to believe that this is the first ever solo album. His name is Tom Bailey. The new album is Science Fiction, which I'm holding up here. He's on a big U.S. tour now, some headlining shows, other shows with Boy George and Culture Club and the B-52s, playing Forest Hill Stadium this Saturday night, actually. Then the Iridium here in Manhattan, July 31st and August 1st. Then the Stone Pony Summer Stage, August 3rd. Tom Bailey, welcome. How are you, man?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
You look great. And as we were speaking about, I did work at Arista Records for a couple of albums back in the 90s.
Day,
yeah. And the last Thompson Twins album came out, was it 1991, I guess?
You got me there. I don't remember.
I think it was.
And then that kind of mutated into Babel and since then lots of other solo projects.
I mean, and there's this, misperception that, you haven't been doing a lot since then, which is absolutely false.
Yes, it's a kind of strange thing. A lot of people think I've just been relaxing by the pool for 30 years.
Right, counting your royalty checks and things like that. But, you mentioned Babel, then International Observer, which was more electronic and sort of dub material. And there were several albums with that. I mean, how many albums? You did like...
6, yeah.
Yeah, 6. And you're getting rave reviews for this album. I have to tell you, I listened to this new album. It's fantastic, and considering where we are in the world musically these days, and specifically, say, pop musically, these new songs have that classic Thompson Twins sound, but they are all really fresh sounding. You know what I mean?
Well, that's good. I mean, I guess I have the benefit of having stepped away from mainstream pop music for quite a while, so I come back to it, remembering if I had a few skills in that department that I could kind of use them again, but they haven't been kind of worn to dust.
Right, yeah. Well, is it like riding a bicycle, verse, chorus, bridge, like...
In a way, it's more exciting than that, because I'm encountering something very kind of magical and alchemical that I used to do. That was my old day job, right? And now I'm back into it, and I find it fascinating. Because pop music's a weird thing. There are real kind of specialist skills involved in making good pop music.
Yeah.
Which in my other projects, which are less mainstream, I don't need all those kind of real skills of economy and directness and things.
3.5 minutes.
All that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to be back into it.
And you've enjoyed touring the world the past couple of years, playing songs like Hold Me Now, Dr. Doc, or all the other hits. Along with these new songs, too, you sort of, as we were talking about, you rediscovered your love of writing a pop song. And I was speaking with Andy Summers of the Police last week, and he had sort of a similar sort of career thing. The Police were massive, then they broke up, and then he did whatever the hell he wanted for a lot of years. And then the Police did that reunion thing, which was massive and huge. And then after that, he told me, he's like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with playing those old songs. Those are some damn good songs. And I think the same is true with the Thompson Twins.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think every artist reaches a point where they want to kind of have a retrospective view. They think, okay, what were we doing so many years ago? And how does that relate to what I'm doing now? So that's all fine. And then there's the whole nostalgia thing, which is an emotional contact with your old audience, and people come back for more because they're ready for it. So in a strange way, I find there's more emotional content now than there ever was.
Well, and then I think it was you that said the people that saw you with the Thompson Twins since then have gotten married, have had children.
That's right.
And then, they come back, and as you were saying, they want to sort of relive, for lack of a better term, 80s or early 90s.
They want to pick up where they left off somehow.
Right, yeah, because there's an emotional attachment to those songs for that.
And of course, and this is not true just of me, but of every musician in every genre and every age, there's a kind of demographic hot point for every age group where that's the music you were listening to when you first, stayed out all night and maybe got a little bit out of order with, did the things that your parents told you not to. The music that was playing at that point becomes fixed in your consciousness, I think, because that's your coming of age moment.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole bunch of people out there.
Formative years, they say, right?
Yeah. It's a rite of passage to relate to that music, and it stays with you for your lifetime.
How come you never released a solo album until This one.
Well, I've been releasing solo albums, but not mainstream pop music.
Right.
So
yeah.
That's the line by the pool.
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
I've been really busy, but not in the public eye so much.
And this new album you recorded all over the world, France. I think you live in France now, right?
I live between France and New Zealand. Yeah, depending on what time of year it is.
New Zealand is amazing, right?
Yeah, fantastic.
Now, is there a
Beautiful place.
specific time that you want to be in New Zealand, or is it because
Well, it's the northern summer for France, and then when it gets so cold that it's brutal, I go to New Zealand. For
I
the
hear you.
Southern summer.
how long did the whole process take? Because I know you were using your laptop.
That's right. Well, I've developed this habit of just recording wherever I am because I'm on the road so much. So, a lot of it does get done in, lying on a bed in a hotel room.
Yeah. Well, that's great, though. I mean, God, you don't have to rent a studio,
It's just postmodern skills, man.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was done in New Zealand and France, which is my two kind of homes.
Yeah. You recently said David Bowie was a huge influence on you. Actually played a gig with him, but there's a really interesting story. You never got to speak with him at the gig. He literally, tell us what happened.
Everyone said, "Did you speak to David at the gig?" Well, I was on the stage, and amazingly, his limousine, drove onto the stage, up a ramp and onto the stage. He stepped out, went to the microphone, and started singing.
Did he have a martini and a cigarette in his hand, too?
No, he didn't. And he just kind of nodded on his way past and then started the concert. At the end of the concert, he turned around, got in the car, and it drove away. So he didn't speak to a single person.
Unbelievable.
Backstage. And I realized maybe that's what you come to with that kind of mega stardom.
Right, yeah.
Everybody wants to talk to you. And
well,
you'd never get to the microphone if you stopped.
I'm sure there were times where you kind of couldn't go out for a cup of coffee either, right? I mean,
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, way back in, late 80s, early 90s.
But I do quite like chatting to people backstage, so.
Right, exactly. I did not know this or remember this, but the Thompson twins 33 years ago were introduced at a huge concert venue in Philadelphia called JFK Stadium, otherwise known as Live Aid. I think the crowd was about 100,000 people. The TV audience was 1 billion or so, but there was somebody special that introduced you to the audience on that show.
Whoa. Who was it? I can't remember who introduced
She's
us.
From New York. Seymour Stein signed her.
Are you talking about Madonna? She didn't introduce us. She sang in our band.
She did.
We met backstage, and here's an example of where David Bowie was missing out. Right.
Right.
I had a chat with Madonna backstage, and we decided to sing backing vocals on each other's sets.
Unbelievable.
So,
what songs did she sing with you?
I think she sang "Revolution," the Beatles song. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you sang with her?
Yeah. I can't remember which song.
Holiday?
But something like that. But anyway, it gave her a big break,
What else do you remember about Live Aid? Anything that come to mind immediately?
It was one of those peak experiences, and it was a time when I think globally we hadn't quite had the optimism kicked out of us by then.
Right. Yeah.
Since then, it's been a bit more difficult because so many kind of weird and troubling things have happened in the world. But then we still thought, which I still believe in, that one of the great things about music is it can bring people together to make the world a better place. And that was a day when we were all kind of focused on that.
Yeah.
All facing the same direction, as it were.
His name is Tom Bailey from the Thompson Twins, the first ever solo album, Science Fiction, on a big U.S. tour now, some headlining shows, other shows with Boy George and Culture Club and the B-52s. That's got to be fun playing with those guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite an attractive night out because it's three great bands, all from that era and with a kind of party atmosphere going on.
No.
Well, the B-52s are kind of living legends, aren't they? And,
yes, they are.
It's an amazing thing to behold. And
so playing Forest Hill Stadium this Saturday night.
That's right.
Yeah. 15,000 people. They're going to be rocking on Saturday, I think.
Wow.
Then the Iridium here in Manhattan, July 31st and August 1st. Then the Stone Pony Summer Stage on August 3rd. Have you been there, the Stone Pony Summer Stage, before?
I don't think I have. No, that's a new one on me.
So the Stone Pony, legendary for Bruce Springsteen, one of the first clubs he was sort of playing in a lot. But it's right on the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, cool.
So your view from the stage will be the North Atlantic.
Oh,
well, from Jersey. Anyway,
right.
So
okay.
So the Science Fiction album is fantastic. I love it. I played it. I can't stop playing it. Tell me more about this album. I want to play the title track, but just give me sort of a nutshell of this album.
Well, having gotten back into as we were talking about earlier, the whole business of writing pop songs again, I was just doing it for fun, and then about 3 songs in, I think I realized that there was an umbrella concept. I was doing a lot of the lyrics were staring at the sky and wondering about the cosmos and how that kind of relate. And then when I wrote this particular song, Science Fiction, I thought, yeah, that's the concept, that's the title for the whole album. Because
Right.
they're all using a kind of futuristic view to think about how it is right now, which is the kind of trick of science fiction. You know, we think it's about the future, but it's really about now.
Yeah.
And I found that fascinating. So that took me through the rest of the record.
And then the weird thing about science fiction is, like television shows like Star Trek, you know, everyone's communicating with little devices back in, 1960 something, and here we are now doing the same thing.
Things move fast. Huh?
Yeah. Tom Bailey, the Thompson Twins, the first ever solo album. Hold it up here, Science Fiction. Everyone go out and buy it and see all the shows. Go to the website for all the tour dates and to buy tickets. Tom Bailey, a pleasure to hang out with you and meet you and see you again after all these years.
That's right. Fantastic.
I won't be setting up any more interviews for you, don't worry. But thank you again and best of luck, and we'll see you at these upcoming shows.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.